Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Devashish Basu, trustee of Money Life Foundation uh, and editor of Money Life magazine. I'm very honored and pleased to welcome Dr. Satyanarayan Chava, founder and CEO of Laurus Labs, in this very special series of interviews that we are conducting for the Corporate Governance Awards of Money Life Foundation. This is our inaugural year. Laurus Labs is an outstanding value creator and one of the 5 finalists for 21. These awards are unique because they're completely merit-based and chosen from recommendations by some of the most insightful investors in India. So there is absolutely no bias at all in this. Thank you, Dr. Chava, for agreeing to participate in this conversation with me and Mr. R. Balakrishnan. Bala is a Money Life columnist and a very well-known market expert with over 4 decades of experience in investment, research, credit rating, and fund management. He's just seen it all. Interestingly, the 5 finalists, 3 are pharmaceutical companies and all 3 are from Hyderabad. That makes it really interesting and how this has come about, because there are all sorts of opinion about companies based in Hyderabad. Laurus Labs is one of the finest examples of entrepreneurship combined with a sense of responsibility towards the community, towards investors, and towards its own employees. So we will have a very freewheeling conversation today, not a structured question. And we've already shared with you some of the pointers and kind of areas that we'd like to talk about. So I will ask the first question, and then I would request Bala to come in with the subsequent questions, and then we'll take it from there. So Dr. Chava, one of the first points that we've always been interested in the stories of entrepreneurs, the episodes in this sort of journey. These are things that are beyond the numbers, beyond the sort of physical things that we see at the plant, equipment, profits, et cetera, because behind all this is a journey. And a journey is comprised of various episodes, very interesting stories that have come about of an entrepreneur. So would you be able to share with us a couple of stories which were very decisive in your life, especially from the governance point of view?
Thanks for Money Life and the team for doing this event, choosing few companies who do very well in the corporate governance. And we're also very thankful choosing Laurus Labs, one of the 5 in that exercise. See, we intend to practice highest corporate governance for our benefit, the first. And we always talk about stakeholders' value creation. For us, the stakeholders in order is our colleagues, their families, society where we operate, customers, vendors, and society to whom we service with our medicines, and shareholders. We were not reversing the order. For us, until we service well, take care of our colleagues first, we are not doing justice. So we always take care of our colleagues first, their safety, their well-being, and then running operations safely and taking care of the society where we operate our plants. And we respect customers and vendors equally. So typically, people respect customers more, not so with the vendors, but we treat both vendors and customers equally, and shareholders. Yeah. So if we don't take care of the initial set of people, it is not easy to add value in the long run for the shareholders. So we always keep stakeholders' interest in mind from morning to evening, 24/7, 365 days. That's the intention we started. For us, when we started, we raised equity multiple times. Initially, we invested our own money and took loans from the banks. In 2007, we raised money from Wells Carson, a PE fund from US. In 2012, we raised further equity from Fidelity. In 2014, we raised again third time with Warburg Pincus, and 2016 from the public. So when we did multiple rounds of equity into the company, we practice good corporate governance coupled with multiple investments into the company, made us much stronger in our commitment to practice, demonstrate highest corporate governance. So demonstrating this corporate governance is not a job we are doing, it is our responsibility. Yeah, that's where we feel, and not only we feel, if I feel a governance doesn't mean it is practiced throughout the organization. So it has to be percolated from top to bottom and also bottom to top. It is a two-way practice. So governance should be there in security, governance should be there in HR, governance should be there in finance, governance should be there in recruitment, rewarding our teams, how we treat our vendors, customers, how we produce highest quality medicines. So when we do all this, that's where we demonstrate highest governance. Yeah.
Sir, I would like to hear more from you. When you started the company, what were your thoughts saying? Because you know, to set up a company in India, it takes all kinds of practices. That's what the story goes. So, was it any different for you, and how did you approach this problem?
When we started the organization in 2005, but actual work started in 2006. And we wanted to start an organization where the research is done first, and we build factories to produce what was developed. Typically, those days in pharma industry, people put up manufacturing first and then try to figure out what to do in that facility. So we did the other way. So we started with manufacturing. By the time we recruited first colleague in the manufacturing, we were 350 people in R&D. So we wanted to do products where we are strong at, rather than where our neighbors are strong at. So we believe in our strengths rather than exploiting somebody else's weakness. So somebody else's weakness, we carry out our strategy and do business. You may become stronger in the next 6 months. So we believe in our own strengths. And we also invest in R&D so heavily, and we develop processes so robust, and we overlap R&D and manufacturing. The more the overlap we do, the more the success we enjoy. There are many products where we have done 10, 15 incremental innovations to become a global leader in what we produce. So if there is a disruptive innovation, one innovation, in our opinion, is not sustainable. So we need to do 10, 15 incremental innovations to make an impact to the customer by offering the product at his price and at quantity you wanted and when you wanted. So when it comes to the corporate governance, we also had initial challenges, very much. As a startup greenfield enterprise, bankers decided not to fund us. And we went with a business plan. We are going to lose 80 crores in first 4 years. And there were few bankers were saying, we never saw a business plan where they're coming to raise money to the bank where they lose 80 crores in first 4 years. But one company believed in us, one bank believed in us, where we were doing business in our previous association. They said, we are going to fund you. So that way we raised 200 crore debt from State Bank of India, apart from what we invested. And it was a very successful journey for us. Okay, in fact, we didn't lose 80 crores, we lost 100 crores in the first 4 years. But our commitment to business, our commitment to quality, our commitment to the governance was never compromised because we are losing money. So we set up this company with very long-term and sustainable goals. Losing money was part of the game for us. It's not that we intend to lose. If we don't want to lose money in the next 4 years, we could have been a 500 crore organization by now. And there is also another belief, not only me, our senior management also supported me very well. We never intended to say have majority equity in the organization and compromise long-term value creation. We could retain 50-60% ownership in the company, but we decided in the larger interest, we should raise equity whenever there is a need. We also believe, and we quote this multiple times, 100% of 1 crore and 1% of 100 crore is the same. So I do talk about this. So the question is how much we make the organization bigger. The bigger the organization, the bigger our team strength, we contribute to the society, we contribute to the well-being of our colleagues. So that's the belief, not only me, all our team carries within the organization.
I wanted to ask you, did you, were there situations where what appeared to be a constraint eventually turned out to be a strength from either from the governance, compliance, or any of those areas? I'm not talking of hardcore strategic areas, but what seemed like a task or an onerous responsibility actually turned out to be beneficial for the company. Have you come across any such cases?
The one DNA where we percolated through the organization is we use one quality standard for all markets. When we started, we could have made products and we could have invested less to service domestic market, to service markets where quality of infrastructure is not a critical. We could have taken all those shortcuts, but we haven't taken those shortcuts. The one commitment we made is we will run all our plants with one quality standard. Then people ask, how you differentiate price? Said we differentiate markets by price, not by quality. So we produce products in our facilities, and from the same site we sell in India, we sell in Africa, we sell in Europe, US, and Japan. So we don't differentiate product quality to service regions. That is the one commitment all our colleagues are fully aware, because we do believe, and everyone in the organization also do believe, every citizen has a right to get good quality medicines, irrespective where they live. So when we need a medicine, we do hope we don't need, but if we need medicines, we should feel proud to take medicines produced by us rather than going somewhere else and buying medicines. So we keep that attitude throughout the organization. And also for us, the champions are within the organization, R&D chemist, manufacturing chemist, and quality chemist. R&D chemists develop efficient processes, and manufacturing chemists produce those consistently, safely, and our quality chemist approves only right product to the market. See, as a senior management, our job is to help them to discharge their responsibilities. See, their success is our success. It's not our success is their success. So we help them to discharge their responsibilities, and we create systems where it is easy to practice and difficult to violate. And if you put a system wherever it's in the organization, including from HR to finance, we want to put systems easy to follow, difficult to violate. And see, towards these commitments, we also demonstrate. It's not that we only talking, we also practiced. From 2007, I never routinely signed checks or POs within the organization. And our CFO also doesn't sign every check or every PO within the organization. So we created an empowered organization. That's where we were able to enjoy. If we don't empower our people, then we have to do their work. If we empower, they do our work. That's our belief. So we continue to do several such practices within the organization and help our people to realize their potential.
So I will switch away from business and ask something which is about the value systems you have brought about in terms of ethical management and honesty, integrity. One is what inspired you, or is there a leader or a book which inspired you? And second is in business, there are ethical conflicts sometimes which come about. And we hear a lot about some things in the pharmaceutical industry when it comes to approvals, FDA things, and all those things. So let's just talk about the ethical approach which you have inspired within the organization, and how did it come about?
In the organization, we defined 5 core values, and in our business card or on our logo, people will see 3 core values: knowledge, innovation, excellence. See, people have a lot of knowledge. Out of that, innovation comes, and people have to execute that with a lot of excellence. So those are the 3 values where people can see from outside. So how many patents we filed, how many patents granted, how many DMFs we filed, how many ANDAs we filed and approved. That's extrinsic. There are 2 values which are very intrinsic to us: care and integrity. See, it's not visible. Care and integrity, how much we care about our colleagues, how much we care about the environment, and how we demonstrate integrity when nobody is watching us. So I'll talk about care. So everyone in the organization very clear to protect the environment. Then all our plants operate to highest environmental standard, which was also recognized by the state governments, which was also recognized by the central government, and our plants were regarded as one of the best chemical plants in the country, and we got last 4 out of 5 years we got national awards for safety across chemical plants in the country. That's a demonstration how much do we care about people, society, and help each other. And we also demonstrate some of those internally, how much we care about colleagues. Everyone in the organization is having health insurance, and the premium is same for a chemist to CEO. There is no difference in premium. Everybody gets the same premium paid for health insurance, because when there is a problem, the treatment doesn't depend on hierarchy. Everybody has to get the same treatment. So that is one we care. And we run our cafeterias free of charge across our organizations. We eat the same food where our contract workman eats and I eat. So that's another thing where we care about. Everyone should be treated equally, irrespective of their position in the position or shareholding in the company. Everybody is treated same. And when it comes to integrity, partially it is visible through number of regulatory inspections company went through, and there were no negative remarks, fortunately so far, by any regulatory agencies about how we operate and how we run our plants. So these are the 2 where we practice, demonstrate when nobody is demanding us to do this.
When it comes to your board composition, how do you how important are the independent directors for you in terms of whether when you're taking a strategic decision on acquisition or diversification or any kind of major capital expenditure?
I'll give one very specific example where the independence of the board was very well demonstrated. Since promoters own less equity, less in the sense around 30% equity, and there was a discussion in the board about taking warrants. And independent board was say warrants are good for promoters but not good for shareholders. So you get a preferential treatment when you take warrants. If you want to take additional shares, the best way is to go for a rights issue, not warrants. That is the kind of open discussions independent board did engage within the organization. And also, as an executive members in the board, we don't want to think we know everything better than anybody else. So our board brings outside in view and helping us in taking right decisions. For example, we invested recently in IIT startup, and we were somewhat reluctant when we put this proposal to the board. Then board said, no, this is the field where you have to invest, and please take this forward and conclude quickly. And also, we also demonstrated, we invested in a very non-related field. We were never into drug discovery as a company. So to show the commitment, senior management also invested along with the company. So that's the kind of discussions board always helps us to take a right decision, and also at the right speed and right time. Yeah.
What about family members in business? What is your view on that, sir?
There are family members in the business, but I'll give one example. Earlier, my son-in-law used to work, but he came from McKinsey. So he was rewarded based on his experience and expertise. And my son is also working in the company right now. But before joining the company, he used to work in Dr. Reddy's labs for 3 years. So we never gave any preferences because they belong to the family. They deserve, they get what they deserve. Yeah.
And I'll come to you as the CEO. How hands-on are you every day? Is it that, what are the 2 things you look at from your MIS, if I may ask?
As a CEO, I do take care of 2 things very clearly. One is what is not going well in the organization. So I don't read what is going well, because all of us are paid to do good things. Yeah. So we are also paid not to do bad things at the same time. So I do go through the deviations. I do go through the quality issues within the products, quality issues within the organization. And most of my review happens how to improve rather than how to sustain. That is one. And second, I also spend a lot of time in reading. And see, as people grow in hierarchy, they get little time to go through what is happening in and around the company, in and around the country, across various businesses. So I do create enough time for me to read. So that one habit I developed last 10 years. At least 25% of my time I devote to reading within the office. So most of my reading happens within the office. So I always tell my colleagues, if you are high in the hierarchy, you should have more free time. That's a demonstration of your going up. If you go up in your position and you say you have to work 14 hours a day, that means you are not growing. You're only taking more responsibilities, but not going up in your style. So I do spend a lot of time in reading. And if I came across a nice article, I circulate to all our colleagues. I do speak with them, what is happening in the world, what is happening. So I spend time in going through what is happening in and around.
One question I had is the long-term interests of the company, of running the company as the founder, as the CEO, sometimes can come into conflict with the short-term interests of investors. Because for you, this is your life and you can, as long as you can see the company will live and thrive and prosper and continue to innovate, whereas shareholders will probably come and go. So how do you balance this? You certainly would be, tuned to what the market interests are. At the same time, you don't want to compromise on the strategic long-term goals, visions, etc. of the company. So if has there been a conflict? And if assuming there comes a time there is a conflict, what would you do? And what are your thought process, more important?
Look, there will be conflict. I'm sure our ability to resolve conflicts and complexity determines how good we will be. So when, as head of the organization, if I take a decision, I will evaluate how many people are impacted with my decision. So if a product quality is impacted, I will never take that decision. If safety of operations are impacted, we'll never take those decisions. If environment of work is impacted, we'll never take those decisions. So if you take a long-term decision, which will have prospects of the company very well, we generally take and favor those decisions rather than doing profits for a month and quarter. So we always keep sustainability of the organization as a primary objective rather than short-term focus. I always remember and also reminding ourselves, we're also invested in the company. So we have to dissect CEO and my investment in the company. So I have to protect my investment also. So I'm not going to buy or sell shares every quarter. So if I move expenditure or revenue from one quarter to another quarter, I'm not going to do any of those. So we always take decisions which will favor our stakeholders. I'm just reminding us, our stakeholders is more important. We never wanted to change that order.
And said, now you must be handling a lot of investor conferences and things like that. So activism is increasing from the investors. Somebody with 100 shares can shout, some institution can shout, something like that, or they do. What is your view on that, sir, about investor activism?
Anything excess is bad.
Okay.
So people are saying, my name is Satnarayana, so people think I'm also belong to Satyam group. So how can I control their emotions, their feelings? So people think Hyderabad has less reputation, as a less corporate governance. I have no ability to influence their thought process. The social media, one saying Laurus Labs is a bogus labs.
Okay.
So if we give too much importance to what is happening in the social media, we are not running social media company. We are running a pharmaceutical company. For us, what we do, good quality medicines is more important than answering those. I think we sometimes take those with a sigh of laugh, nothing else. Yeah. So anything excess is bad. So you, as you mentioned, for investors who invest in shares, not in the company. So we never raised any money from the shareholders except public. We are answerable to our shareholders despite of those. But somebody invests today and you want to have profit tomorrow. We are not in the tune. So we are in the tune of making long-term value add to the company and also to the shareholders.
Sir, is there who is your hero, if I may ask, or a role model or an inspiration for you?
When we started the organization in a small setup in Hyderabad in 2006, people are asking this question, who is your role model? As an organization, our role model, especially my role model, is BASF. Because BASF, I visited their factory in Ludwigshafen. It's a town. It's not a factory. It's a town. And when people talk about complexity, I remind our colleagues. So I always show that plant, Google Internet, and then show that plant. This is the plant. Do you see? Ours is complex. Theirs is complex. So BASF, I like as a company. They do from chemicals to biologics. They say very proudly, BASF is the chemistry company, chemical company. So they do whatever related to chemistry they do. We also have a similar DNA. We are a research-driven manufacturing company. So whatever we develop, we manufacture. So as a company, I like BASF. I admire that company. As an individual, I like Dr. Anju Reddy very well. So he is the one who took very bold decisions in the Indian pharmaceutical industry, building factories ahead of the time, investing in R&D ahead of the time. For me, he is the role model.
I think this kind of covers a very wide range what we have gone through. I just want you to say that if tomorrow succession planning or things like that happen, how would your board view the family members? And it's a very, you are free not to answer it, but I'm just asking.
Oh, see, if family member can add value, family can run. If another individual can add value, he will run. So, see, if we want to add value to the organization, whether it's a family member or outside family member. In our executive committee, there are only 2 people from the family. So, rest of the people are outside. So, we are a very professionally run, empowered organization. So, everybody has the ability and also encouragement to question each individual. So in the company, I receive more questions than anybody else within the organization. So I encourage people questioning. I encourage people in criticism. So we also created a culture where we are having ability to accept our mistakes. We openly say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did this mistake, and I'm willing to correct." So we take decisions. Sometimes decisions can go wrong, and we accept those. We accept those very boldly and tell everybody. So we went through executive coaching multiple times, senior management and also middle management, and people are very reluctant to share the weakness. So when I went through executive coaching, I published my discussions with my coach, what are my weaknesses. I circulated to my executive team. So that helped me. Sometimes if I started correcting those, they cannot question me. I said, they only commented that my weakness was this. So then I said, people say I'm very soft. Many people wrote in their remarks, I'm very soft. When I take a tough decision, they said, you are very tough this. I said, you guys said I'm very soft, so I'm taking some tough decisions. So we are very open organization that way. Sometimes we say we're an organization as naked as anybody can see. So there are no secrets in the organization.
What's your favorite holiday, sir?
Favorite holiday is home, actually.
Okay. Wonderful.
You have been known to very highly recommend the book "Winners Never Cheat."
But there is a tagline. Winners never cheat, even in difficult times.
It's a book by Huntsman.
John F. Huntsman. See, I speak about that multiple occasions, and also reminding myself. So when I have to, at a crossroad, easiest path and a tough path, I remind myself, winners never cheat, even in difficult times. That's one. And also recommended another book, 10 Commandments for Business Failure, written by Donald Eve, the ex-president of Coca-Cola. So that book was also very good. So that book talks about 10 commandments where you can guide anybody to failure. So moving away from those 10 things will make anybody successful. So he says, if you don't follow these 10, you have a fair chance of success. If you follow these 10, you'll be a failure. Wonderful. So these 2 books I read at least once in a year. It's good. So I think we, as a organization senior, as a leader, we have to demonstrate. certain qualities. And without those qualities demonstrated, I can't expect my colleagues to demonstrate the same qualities.
Good. So it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you, listening to your views on governance, on business, on strategies. You're very enlightened. Bala, you'd like to add anything?
No, I think it's been a real pleasure listening to you and what you mean for Laurus. I think the shareholders should be a very, very happy lot. That's what we think. And I think that coming to talk freely with people whom you have never met, you never think, I think that's very gracious of you, sir. Really appreciate. And you didn't duck any questions, however tough you made it. So really appreciate your honesty in answering that, sir. And we wish, I think, Laurus, a lot of more laurels coming along the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.